Today we're going to talk about the third book in the Velvet Comet series by Mike Resnick called Eros Descending. All throughout the series, people are just coming at the Velvet Comet, trying to take it down, take it apart, blackmail people there, whatever it is. This time there's a mega church coming after them. And this could be the end for the Velvet Comet. You never know, right? So this time it's God versus greed, but there's a little twist to it. So let's get to that. And this book's a little deeper philosophically than the others, but it's still got a lot of fun, a lot of controversy, a lot of watch the people fall apart, and very little about the actual sex of the floating brothel in orbit. So it is there, but it's not the large part of the book. Is 5% of the book. The rest of it's about the people, and in this case, the aliens, because there are some aliens working as prostitutes in space. But let's get to that in a second. So the book opens up where we have clones of Secretariat and Seattle Slew, I think, running in this horse race up on the Comet, and that kind of gives you a sense of just how opulent this place is, right? This is a place for the richest of the rich. This is a place where you don't go to just have like a weekend away. This is like a place this is like Montenegro, right? This is the big of the big places to go ever. They put on the show for the wealthiest people in the galaxy. And horse races, this is offset in the future. And horses are never seen outside of Earth, but here they are. Here we are. We have a couple in orbit, right? We're going to do a horse race up in space. But the protagonist in this case is this reverend of a mega church. And my own opinion of mega churches is not all that great, right? Some of the people involved are tend to just be there for themselves and to get rich, but at least that's the way it looks to me. But in this case, it becomes fairly obvious that the pastor of the megachurch really just wants to stop all the sin that goes on in this place, because he thinks if he could take down this symbol of sin and degradation, that they make the galaxy a better place. So he agrees to go up there and face evil in the eye, and to get a huge donation for his church, he sort of says, okay, fine, I'll come to the horse race and I'll give out the trophy to the winner. But while he's there, he's really trying to collect information to see what he can use to get the place shut down. So he dips his toe in evil. Well, that begins this interesting descent of the pastor, right? He meets these two aliens called fairies, and the fairies are a race of aliens that are not very big. They don't look like, they're not human in size. Luckily, their anatomy works with humans, but they're not human in size. They look more like children, even when they're 60, 70 years old. They live to be like 200, and they're kind of blue. They feathers. They kind of look not human because they're not. But the interesting thing is, once he goes toe to toe with the brothel, the corporation that owns it starts to look at it like, is this thing really worth it? I mean, people keep coming at it. Is it worth keeping? Is it not worth keeping? And then they decide it just becomes a PR battle that the major corporation actually starts to win. Well, how do they win it up against a man of God? Well, the head pastor becomes obsessed with the fairies. He stays up at night. He has dreams about them. He has data tapes. They call them data tapes. This book is a little bit older, but there's data files. He has data files that give him holographic images of training of these. There actually is a training school for the brothel. He has training tapes of the fairies when they're learning their craft to work in the brothel, and he locks himself in his office and he obsesses over it, and he can't get him out of his head. He looks for any excuse to go back up to the Velvet Comet to try to rescue them and talk them out of staying up there and working there, and they don't see anything wrong. And that brings up another interesting point. What one person considers a sin, another person really doesn't, especially when you deal with different races of beings, and especially alien races, right? What humans might consider immoral or wrong, some other group might not. And that brings up another interesting question. We try to, as even a population inside the United States, we try to dictate morality on one another all the time. What one person finds completely immoral and what one person finds completely unjust, another person may not, right? So certainly there's legal, illegal, right? No stealing, no killing people, right? But there are other ways in which we try to shame people for various things. And is that right or wrong? Because what you consider a sin, someone else may not. What you consider right, someone else may consider wrong. It's where do those lines get drawn? and it becomes really fuzzy for inside the church, because the church, even in and of itself, inside this big mega church, they can't even agree on what's a sin that's okay and what's a sin that's not, right? Some people are very, binary. It either is a sin or it isn't. And in this particular religion, wearing makeup is a sin. But sure enough, there it is. The head pastor's wife is wearing makeup, right? But that's the sin that doesn't really matter that much. I mean, other people inside the church are like, no, no, that does, right? So, but it even does kind of bring into question of where do you draw those moral lines? And it does it in a really entertaining way, I think. And it's a fast read. I got through it in about 5, 6 hours or something like that. But it's a great sort of third entry into this series of four that that if you get the chance to read is well worth the time and trouble. But I find this one, book three, to be kind of the most interesting of the series, because it really does ask some sort of philosophical questions that makes you start to look around the world today and say, we're not really doing a great job, right? Because sometimes we try to dictate things to other people, and maybe that's not the right thing to do. Um, but to me it was the most interesting of the three that I've reread. I read them all years ago, but this on this reread, I didn't really notice just how deep this one was. So if you get the chance to pick this one up, great. You do not have to read the first two for it to make sense. All these books would kind of stand by themselves. So if you only want to read the third one, that's great. They're all on Kindle anyway. So if you get the chance, pick this one up. Everybody click like, subscribe, follow if you haven't. And if not, I'll see you on the next video. Talk to everybody soon.